Hi, my name is Trevis Gardner. I'm a candidate for the 4th District for the Blount County Board of Education. Honestly, the answer is encouragement of others. I had had the opportunity to serve previously on the school board, and that responsibility, which I did not take lightly, I was just overwhelmed with the amount of things that I had in my life between career and family at the time. And now a few years have gone past, and mainly the reason that I'm running is encouragement of others that I'm listening to. There's folks around me that I trust. They've been some great mentors, and they've told me that I've got something to give back to the community, and that's something I'm driven to support my community with some civic service. And I have learned a lot of things while I was on the school board previously, and I've learned many things since then, and I'm ready to apply those things to serve the community around me. You know, folks look at our education system and public education in Blount County, and it's easy to find flaws and look at things that they think individually need improvement. I think the greatest opportunity that we have is to partnership with the people that we serve. And it's those kids, there's families, the educators, the administrators, as well as policymakers, both on the state and federal components, to make our education system better. Many folks are disillusioned about the opportunity to change things in public education, but at the end of the day, your power as a member of the Board of Education is very limited. You get to see an item on an agenda, ask questions, do your best to understand it, use your values and your character and the things that you can raise your level of awareness about that issue, and then cast a vote. That is your power to affect change is very limited in that capacity, and it takes a long time to learn that. Folks that enter public office, they don't start out knowing that. It takes a process of maturity and exposure and repetition to understand those things. And that's one of the things that I offer. I've already had the opportunity to learn and understand, and now I'm ready to apply those principles. I think I could easily be perhaps the most trusted asset for the other peer board members when it comes to collaboration with even the State Board of Education and their representatives, our funding body, which is the County Commission, and be able to facilitate those conversations and form relationships so that we can collaborate with those other stakeholders who are very much so decision makers in the process. I think the greatest responsibility of anyone serving in public education policy is advocacy for public education. And that is informing and partnering and collaborating and forming relationships with the community that they serve. Public education is vital. Without a sound, well-funded, well-managed school system in our community can lose relevance in less than a generation. And we need to keep it healthy and whole and important and a high priority for all of our public policy interests. Obvious opportunity is relationship building and clear collaboration and communication with the folks that we serve. Without a relationship and communication, there can't be transparency, there can't be trust. And without those two items of transparency and trust, you can't serve the community. Also, as a school board member, you're trusted as a steward of the community with the two most precious and what should be the highest priority things in a community. And the first of that is the youth. Those kids that are attempting to change their place in life for the good sometimes, or maintain their place in life with the ability to get an education and take it on to do things in a life that they've prepared for with that education. And so you're trusted with that responsibility as a steward. And the other stewardship responsibility is finance. The community is trusting the school board to be good fiduciaries, good stewards of that financial trust. Now, there's some folks, their kids and those students are their highest priority. There's other folks, their money is their highest priority. And a school board member and a school board at large is trusted with both those things. And that is a recipe for a lot of criticism. a lot of opinions, but it's a high degree of trust that is placed on that stewardship role. That's a question that causes me to reflect on myself. What do I bring to the table? And how are my priorities reflected in those things that I have? And I think that is, I'm not starting from scratch. I already have great relationship with the education community and the education system in Blount County. I've got friends, neighbors, folks that I go to church with, folks that I do business with, folks that I serve in already existing capacities, and I look forward to using that relationship to affect, not just maintain status quo, but to safeguard our public education system with Blount County Schools, with perhaps even our elected leaders and their peer board members. I want to be a trusted asset for the other board members, because you don't stand alone. You're a team on a school board. And when you can find ways to compromise and agree and collaborate with others, you can make some very positive things happen in a school system. And if you're having to invest all your time and energy at either preventing or resolving conflict, that diverts you from your true purpose, which is being an advocate for public education, finding those resources for the needs that you've identified that need attention by the school system. Because it's only when you do that that you're allowed to influence the outcome, so that our system reflects our local values and our local priorities and never compromise on those. That's one question, and I have three answers: communication, communication, and communication. Communication is really the only mechanism of providing true transparency. And as part of that communication process, you can learn a whole lot more, and you can be much more effective when you focus on listening. It makes us all better communicators. The best way to listen and truly understand not just what a person says or what a person writes is to have a relationship with that person and truly understand what their meaning and their intent with that communications. And when you have that in place, you have a relationship. And then you can use a positive relationship as the most important step of keeping a community involved, being accountable to that community, and also keeping that community engaged, rather than looking at our school system as that's for someone else. That's another's responsibility. I think, again, one of my previous points is engaging the community and transforming them into advocates for our public education system is the most important thing that we can do. I think the most critical challenge is we live in an environment where folks are not desensitized, but rather they're very sensitized. They're quick to be offended. They're quick to have a strong opinion, and sometimes that's in the absence of information. Sometimes that's by design. Usually I think it is not. I think the most important thing that we can do is understand what are the wants of special interest groups, what are their needs, and with communication, we can help solve some of those challenges that are presented when special interests compete for those very precious public resources. There's a division among political interest about the diversion of public funds into private hands, and that truly does threaten the stability of an already stressed public education system and the funding processes that go along with it. Further, I think the big challenge is a prerequisite, and that's accountability. Every time we form these relationships and we work on transparency, we always have the mechanism of accountability, and accountability at all levels. That starts in the classroom or with the bus driver in the morning, all the way up through our teachers and the fantastic educators we have, at the policy level and the administration level. Board members are accountable, central office staff are accountable. If we focus on that accountability and the transparency, it removes so many conflicts, and it allows us to, again, communicate with the other stakeholders and decision makers which are at the state level. One of the realities of public education in our state is our local school system is essentially a contractor for the State Board of Education. You're entitled, if you've got a child that's in our school system, to a public education because they're a citizen of the state of Tennessee. The state of Tennessee levies a tax on your state property tax component. They take those taxes and they come out as part of the governor's budget. The State Department of Education takes that fund created for education and dispenses it to the LEA, the local education authority. And so oftentimes we confuse the role of the local system in that they directly receive those fundings, they directly set the policies, and in most cases that's simply not that's not the law, that's not the policy. Our local school system is a mechanism of the state, but it would be a squandered opportunity not to influence and advocate and create policies that reflect our local values and our priorities and the things that are important to the citizens of Blount County.